he's had a lucky streak a couple of times, but there have been many times that this has amounted, in my view, to absolute childishness, where you could just get on a platform and hours on end, and I get it, right? We all survived the pandemic. We all thought we would die. I get it. In the pandemic, we all thought it was fodder, and before we die, we'd just like to consume something that gave us a little bit of happiness to take our minds off a menace. But when I see people like Omar Archer being charged in the court for threatening or making a bishop of the church
threats of harming
feel in harm for his life, I feel that I must now come and speak sobriety back into the minds of reasonably logical thinking Bahamian people. And this is just not the way we ought to be acting. This childishness, this child's play must end at some point. I mean, where did we get off at that you could just turn on a camera and just spuke after spuke after spuke, and this one is a sissy and that one is a this thing and a this one thief that thing, and without a single shred of evidence? And if you check sometimes, because sometimes the algorithms will pull you in a direction that you can't help but see the nonsense. 1,000, 1,200 people sitting and consuming this foolishness. 2,100 people sitting down consuming this foolishness.
Because that's what they like. You ain't see what's been happening lately. 2 people so far has called the show and say we discussing the Bible too much. But now, when it comes to the stuff that you're talking about, yeah, man.
And it is.
That's what it's all about.
It is horrendous. And I want to tell you this. I took no brief for anybody. If there are sissy men out there, then God will deal with them. Particularly if they are men of the cloth, right? If there are people out there that are thieving, then I say put them in Fox Hill prison. Particularly those entrusted with protecting the public's purse. If there are people out there sweethearting people's wife, I say don't sweetheart people's wife.
But I must say, well, two things. And I understand exactly what you're saying. It's a very interesting discussion. And I'm wondering if the public recognize what happened to me after Rodney died, right? Mm-hmm. This is interesting.
Right.
Somebody posted on their page, on their social media page, that I was responsible for poisoning Rodney.
Again, lewd, unfounded. I mean, and I mean, just absolutely, just despicable remarks.
I just couldn't. When I saw that, I just couldn't. I just didn't know how to. I mean, everybody say don't respond to it,
and poison him for what? He was a poor man.
Yeah, so this is what I'm trying to figure out, right? And the fella called my name, Bradley Roll.
To accomplish what?
I am understanding that sources revealed to me that you was responsible for poisoning Rodney because Rodney may have said some things contrary to the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security, and I'm following all leads.
Neanderthals, that's what they are. Neanderthals, that's what they are.
What in the devil is this?
Yes, it's childish behavior.
Wow.
It is childish on both ends, if you ask me. It is childish for big grown man. And besides, why all of y'all always look like y'all in an apartment that I could smell through the screen? That's thing number one. Thing number two, why all of y'all look like y'all in a little broom closet somewhere? That's thing number three. Like, y'all don't have like a decent little backdrop with a nice little sitting down table that I could sit down and consume this content in. Why y'all always look like y'all hiding from detention or detainment? And the greater question for me is, what making people burn their data to watch this?
It's just that's fascination. It is what it is. It's a worldly...
A fascination
it's a
with
mind.
What?
That's how it is. I mean, people like that kind of stuff.
And Bahamians appear to be salivating over it. I mean, it literally offers zero mental stimulation. It literally offers zero actual mental development. It offers, I mean, just zero anything. It is vapid. It is, and for some reason, there appears to be, I mean, such an enormous appetite for this nonsense.
Yeah, that's how it is, man. Yeah, brother, that's what it is. That's the way of the world.
And so I see some of it is actually turning into real life, right? We saw that Bishop Trent has, in the courts, moved an action against Omar Archer, right? And so they carried that in the news. Let's see what that clip has to say.
On to news from the courts tonight, social media commentator Omar Archer Sr. denying claims that he threatened to physically attack a local pastor while being arraigned in the magistrate's court. Prosecutors got a hold of a video that purportedly shows Archer issuing threats to Bishop Trent Davis, who heads the Golden Gates World Outreach Ministries. Archer was arrested in connection to the complaint on May 15th and was formally charged a day later. Archer's bail has been set at $1,000. He's expected to return to court on June 10th for his trial.
And so, I mean, are we to the, Jesus, this is so unbelievable. Are we seriously to the point where we are permitting cell phones? You can't resist your own self from sitting before the screen of this little silly device. To the point that you permit it to put you before the court, and something about that is in scatterbrain. You sit with whatever level of intelligence or acumen you have, and I just don't. It is an unconscionable thing to me that how are these people permitted to exist? Where exactly do they get their stardom from? What exactly is their claim to fame? And many of them, if you followed their trajectory through life up to this point, you will find that their transgressions and their antecedents precede them. I mean, these are not holy men and women. Some of them caught up in glaring scandals. Some of them I can't exactly explain. Why are they not in jail? And all of a sudden, they are the righteous gladiators of our era? How? I mean, even Robin Hood had to have a righteous agenda. But we have people who, honestly, we could call some of them thieves, we could call some of them shysters, we could call some of them rogues, we could call some of them gangsters, we could call some of them what do you call it? Offenders of nationalism. But these are now the voices that Bahamians are lining up in mass to listen to. Many of them have larger online congregations than the average Baptist preacher.
Well, that's what it's all about. It's all about numbers.
This is unfathomable.
It's all about numbers, you know.
How did they even become this relevant? And to do what? To call politicians sissy men? And to do what? To accuse people of stealing things and not ever making a single legitimate complaint to a police station so that there can be an act taken in the penal code? But you sit down in your little Obey broom closet and just on and on, 2 hours sometimes. About what?
Yeah, it's all about numbers. Don't
It's
forget
unbelievable
now,
to me.
social media.
It is unbelievable
It's
to me.
all
And
hits.
I think we're going in the wrong direction.
It's all about
as a
hits and
country.
likes, you know. Don't forget.
And
now.
we are going in the wrong. But what is the purpose?
Hits and likes. It's popularity.
For what? How much of that can you spend in Kelly's?
Well, to be the best, to be the most
For
popular.
what?
That's the way of the world. That's how it is.
Oh man, it's childishness. It is childishness. And the Bible say, when I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. But when I became a man, and that's what your Bible say?
Yeah, but you know, I must say this though, to strike a balance on the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some quote unquote religious organization involved. I don't recognize that organization as being a part of Christianity. That's just me. I don't recognize that body of people as being a part of Christianity. But here's what I can tell you, that there's a standard that the church has. And I like the question you asked earlier about the way we ought to behave. And the Apostle Paul told Timothy, and when I come, I want you to understand that this is how we are to behave ourselves in the church of the living God, which is the pillar and ground of the truth. So there is a certain behavior that is expected if you are a bishop, an overseer, if you're a pastor, if you're an elder. The Bible calls you to a particular standard. I must say that. As a matter of fact, if you're a Christian, the Bible calls you to a particular behavior and standard. There was a point in the Church of Corinth where this young man was sleeping with his father's wife. That wasn't his mother. That was his stepmom. And the Apostle Paul wrote to the church and said, listen, I understand that this man is sleeping with his father's wife and y'all ain't doing nothing about it. He said, what's going on? I mean, y'all supposed to put out the fellowship, the man that's doing this thing. He said, man, I'm not there in body with y'all, but I've already cast judgment on this. This man who's sleeping with his father's wife, you shouldn't be eating with this man. Now here's what you need to do. You need to excommunicate him, not that you want him to lose his soul, but to teach him a lesson that he needs to repent of this and eventually catch himself and come back to the fold. So if immorality is going on, the church calls you to a standard, whether you're a Christian or you're in leadership. Now I must be fair with that. So if this stuff that's swirling around is true, if it is true, then yeah, you have to deal with it based on scriptures. You don't want to be castigating and,
I don't want to be
condemning
people
the hell and so on and so forth. But there is a standard that you're called.
But what does the Bible say about protecting my right to not be libeled?
Well, if there's an accusation, let's just say, and this is powerful, and I want you to check this out, folks, it's in your red Bible. If an accusation is brought against a pastor, it's right in 1 Timothy chapter 5. Now, that accusation has to be basically confirmed and witnessed by 2 or 3. You just can't accuse the bishop or the pastor or something and not have some sort of evidence. You need to have it.
Right.
I can read that. When we go to the break, I can find it and put it up on the screen. So the scripture says, do not bring an accusation against an elder unless you have some sort of evidence.
Right.
So if there's evidence, then the elder, if he's caught up in it, the Bible says he should be rebuked.
Yeah. But I want these men and women to be ashamed of themselves. This level of childishness must end at some point. And there's no way adults should be in the court over Facebook slapping up. It is incredulous. We'll be right back after the break.
This segment of Freedom March is brought to you by Modernistic Garden and Pet Supply. For top quality dog food, shop online at modernisticgarden.com or visit our Palmdale, Carmichael, and Mullet Marathon locations today.
Welcome back to Freedom March. Thank you so much for staying with us. I'm Leland Miller. Bradley Roll, the spiritual advisor, is with me. Bradley, you told me something in Holy Scripture on the break. You want to take me back to that?
Yeah, 1 Samuel chapter 5, 19 to 20. This is very interesting when it comes to the pastors, right? He says, do not entertain an accusation against an elder. It's the same office, pastor, unless it is brought by 2 or 3 witnesses. So this accusation, you have to prove it, all right? You can't just accuse the pastor of something and have no evidence. And then it says, but those elders or pastors who are sinning, you are to reprove them before everyone, so that others may take warning. Like I was telling you, in the Lord's church, there is a pattern, there's a behavior that you must be guided by. You just can't do anything in the church. You just can't live any kind of lifestyle as a pastor. Because don't forget now, you're shepherding the flock. You're leading people down this righteous path. So if you're leading people down this righteous path, you got to lead by example. You know what I mean? I can't be the pastor and got 3 of the sisters in the church pregnant. That don't work like that. You know what I mean? That's not the behavior that Christians are called to. So if there is an accusation, the standard is it should be brought by 2 or 3 witnesses. And then if the pastor is sinning, some translations say you got to rebuke him. The word they reprove is done before everyone. So you can't even hide this. You got to make this public. If the pastor sin, you can't say, okay, we can hide this from the congregation and we can sweep this under the rug. No, it says, but those elders who are sinning, you have to reprove them before everyone so that others may take warning. That's in your red Bible. 1 Timothy 5, 19 through 20. So it is what it is.
Thank you very much again, spiritual advisor. Let's get to this ad and then see if we can get to the rest of the show.
Are your dogs hungry and tired of low-quality food? Give them the best in Modernistic. We carry all the top brands: Taste of the Wild, Diamond Naturals, Victor, Anukshuk, at the lowest price in town. If you're on a budget, we've got 50-pound bags starting at just $49. And for limited time, buy any large bag of dog food and get a $10 coupon redeemable on select dog toys and treats. And if you can't make it in, shop online at www.modernisticgarden.com and we'll deliver right to your door. Your pet deserves quality, your wallet deserves savings. Shop in store or shop online today. Hurry, offer won't last. Thank you, Medusa.
Thank you very much, spiritual advisor. And so I heard the Prime Minister said on Sunday that elections will not be won on Facebook, that they will be won door to door, talking to people and making disciples of them, of the news of the PLP. And I want to tell him that while that sounds very good and it's very rallying, I also want the Prime Minister to not be mistaken. Because while elections may not in fact be won on Facebook, they can very easily be lost on Facebook. And I think the Prime Minister has to learn from the mistake of his predecessor in office of, one, how instant the damage of Facebook and the internet can be, how long-lasting that impact can be, and how much of a now moment utterances in social media are. And he is exactly where the Prime Minister former was when he made the blunder of assuming that grassroots, on-the-ground politics could somehow outrun the instancy of the internet. And so you would recall the election of, 2017. You remember the You Go into Jail campaign. You remember that Mr. Christie had been very hot under the collar about what had happened over there at Bahama. For those of you on radio, I'm playing the infamous Christie clip. And over, time and time again, a Prime Minister over 70 who had never really had an engaged interaction with social media, play the video, who didn't understand how instant it happens, who didn't understand how long-lasting the impact was, who didn't quite understand how tangible the internet was, and that everybody was toting it around in their hands, and that people could share this millisecond over and over and over and over and over. So much so that we were able to get t-shirts printed about it. You remember this?
Yeah, I think I remember that.
And so the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, to the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, you do not pay me for advice, and so you can completely disregard every single thing that I'm about to say to you now. Be careful not to make the kinds of blunders that will cause you the pains that Christie had with the middle finger instance. Do everything in your power, Mr. Prime Minister, both you, your colleagues, and all of the little trolls in the PLP, to have your Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok blunders reduced, like BJ Nordage would say, to an irreducible minimum. Because they live on ad infinitum, and depending on what they are, they live on in infamy. And they will never go away. And all of your utterances will be a simple matter of a Google search. You don't even need to try hard to find that video. Play it again, let them see it. You don't even need to try hard.
So what is the Prime Minister saying now?
The Prime Minister is saying that he wants PLPs to understand that elections will not be won on the internet. And I'm telling you, if that is his concept, he is sadly mistaken.
Now, how would the internet help you win the election?
Because even in the instances where the internet will not help you win the election, it most certainly will help you lose the election.
Okay.
If you become offensive, if your trolls become overbearing, if you all seem to lack empathy, if you all seem to gloat at people's hurt, if you all seem to be disjointed or disconcerted with people and their expression of their concerns, if you have the wrong people responding in social media, if the Prime Minister goes up there and puts his middle finger up,
Could cause some damage.
irreparable damage. Irreparable damage. And so I just want the Prime Minister, see, because I don't think the minds of older politicians have evolved as quickly as the internet has. Does it make sense?
What is he really saying, though? I mean...
No, he's saying, let's get on the ground, let's get door to door.
This is true.
Let's get out there, create new disciples for the PLP.
That's the way you're going to win it.
Yeah, the Old Testament of the Bible is true and correct. You agree?
Yeah.
But so is the New Testament of the Bible. You agree?
Yeah.
And so all I'm saying is, don't get so busy killing a white dove and not going and praying for your sins. Kill your white dove. But you and the white dove, you and your dead white dove, go before the face of God, eh? You following me?
Okay.
So while the internet may not win you the election, my advice to the Prime Minister and to all of his minions is to not allow it to cause you to lose the election. Do not become overbearing like the brass polishers from the former administration that just went on and on and on and on with nonsense up and down all Jesus Christ day on the internet. Like little buttflies everywhere. Right? And as soon as, and some of them using very defamatory language in some instances. Don't play with me, I have them screenshot. Reel your people in from doing that kind of thing. Make sure you have monitors for your internet monitors.
So how do you control that?
I just told you.
Reel them in.
Yeah. When you notice that Bradley is becoming an antagonist on the internet, you tell Bradley, you come and give me the cell phone.
But it isn't working because in my mind, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about a particular PLP troll that the PLP just can't seem to control.
Okay. And they may have to figure
And
out
this troll is just
how to manage it. And
over the place.
because those people, they build animosity against your organization. And the Prime Minister could cut 1 million more of these ribbons. If I have to come on... Do you know that there are some times that I literally sat down in the former administration and thought to myself, you know something? I would keep you with minutes, you know. If he promised that these minions I see today, he would put in a rocket and send to the moon. If they could have promised me that the minions would go away, I'd be in Ifitanya F&M in full form. But you have to understand that the same way the tool of the internet can be a blessing, it can also be a cross to carry.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And Mr. Christie proved that for us in 2017. Showed him the middle finger one more time. It's such a wonderful thing. When this 30 seconds, they say, I build in all kind of condominium across the road. And to that, all I want to tell them is, bam.
It looked like that was 2 fingers.
No, that was his middle finger. And we have it on a t-shirt to prove it.
Let's look at it again. Could you pause it, producer? I think it's 2 fingers.
Bam. No. What was he saying? F&M? He certainly wouldn't be saying that.
Oh.
And so, I want the Prime Minister to not think that. I want his handlers to coach him away from that position. I want his handlers to get watchers of social media and then watchers to watch the watchers of social media. Now, in the same breath of air that I've wrapped that up, I want to also say to the Prime Minister that there is nothing to continue to apologize about for saying what he said about Michael Pintard, and that all of this apologizing is actually just making it worse.
No, apology is always good.
No, you need something to apologize for. He said Michael Pintard has never had a real job.
No, but
he
honestly,
is an actor, and he echoes the voices of powerful people that have done the things in this country before that do not work. As a matter of fact, he may not even be an actor. He might just be a parrot. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I thought, though, that the way the Prime Minister handled that was almost out of character.
I thought, number one, would surely be me. I thought I could be what I wanted to be. I thought of myself as a mighty big man, but I can't even walk with it. You could think anything.
But you don't beat an opponent by belittling him.
But if if all I did was speak the truth,
castigating or talking down.
But if all I
that
let's
form
walk you through it gently.
that form of gutter politics is
it's not gutter.
It's unacceptable.
Gutter is if you talk with the man, daddy. That's gutter.
Yeah. But I just thought it was out of character.
Here's what I'm saying.
He's apologizing. The Prime Minister apologizing.
He's not apologizing, but he's trying to clean it up.
That's
and
fine.
saying, well, Michael hasn't had a real job, and all I ask him to do, and I support the orange economy. Mr. Prime Minister, no one in the real, I'm in the orange economy. So is Bradley. Bradley, do you feel offended? Because I don't feel offended. So who in the orange economy is he offending? These bunch of mamby-pamby people that need hugs for no reason?
I don't know.
I don't feel offended at all. Here is what the truth is, Bradley. There are people that walk around have you ever put on an event in your life?
Yeah, man.
You put on events?
No,
in this new modern world?
No.
Okay,
No.
so if you put on an event in this new modern world, let me tell you what you will find.
Okay.
Any number of Negroes coming to you telling you there's an influencer. And that you should pay them $1,500 or $2,500 because they have this massive influence. And if you give them your $2,500, you know what you will have? A missing space where your $2,500 used to be. And that's it. Because their influence only exists in their mind. They're not influencers at all. You will have people that call themselves performers who will charge you $1,500 and $2,500. And if you put them on a stage,
they can't perform it.
Even if they throw gasoline on the crowd wouldn't move. So, you could call yourself a playwright. You could call yourself an actor. But in my mind, and I have a pretty reasonable set of recollection or recalling skills, I remember Bus a Rider on Bay Street. I was in Carlton Francis. I think they had it in the GLAD exam that year. Okay. Outside of Bus a Rider on Bay Street.
Yeah, that's Michael
man.
Pintard book. And so the students are being asked to, that's a book that's been used to grade them.
Bus a Rider on Bay Street. That's the only one I remember. Which other one it was?
I gave him credit for it.
I'm fine. Man, some people suggest.
Give him credit for it.
Some people suggest that you need to do it twice in order to be considered homosexual. You're in a homosexual when you do it the first time. So certainly you can't be a poet if you write one speech or one poem. Here's another question. All right? You listen?
Okay, go ahead.
Count it again. You remember that?
What's that?
Count it again. The stage play written by Michael Pintard.
I didn't read that one. No.
It wasn't nothing to read. It was a stage play. They had it in Freeport a couple of times.
You saw it?
No, I didn't. But I knew that it was going around after the election of 2002, right? And isn't it amazing that the one fella I can't remember in this play, out of all the clips I've seen, it's Michael Pintard. The only person I can remember is, what is the name of the fella that impersonates Mr. Christie? Him and David Wallace.
There's a person that's impersonating Mr. Christie?
Yes. In the comments, you all tell me what he named so I can find it on the break.
Oh, okay. Because I know a person who's impersonated Hubert Ingram. I never know this impersonator for.
There's a man in Grand Bahama that impersonates Mr. Christie.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
He was the most notable character in the play. And I think Jacozzi. But at no time did Michael Pintard surface as the beacon of hope in the play written by him. As a matter of fact, my friend Felicia Clyde probably got more poems than Michael Pintard, and she only started writing poems about 3 years ago. She actually have a book. I have it home. I could actually bring it and show it to you. Could you please present to me the Michael Pintard book of poems, please?
I mean, with all that, because
No, I'm saying that anyone could call themselves
but that's
anything
fine.
spiritual advisor.
But guess what, though? The man is leader of the opposition, though.
Well, then, fine.
You understand that, right?
But can I ask
and
you...
he could possibly be the next prime minister.
But can I ask you this question?
You understand that, right?
Yes. And I'm very happy that you've said that to me. How are decisions made in the Bahamas spiritual advisor? Let me help you. By a cabinet. Do you know that cabinet decides even down to the holidays in the country? You know that, right?
Okay.
You realize that cabinet decides when the paydays will be in the country.
Yeah.
You know, the cabinet decides who will have a state funeral and who won't have a state funeral. You know, the cabinet decides the days the flag will be raised or lowered. You know that, right?
Okay.
Which means you're talking about a corporate executive board of people, correct?
Okay.
Which means the person that sits at the head of that board must be a CEO. You agree?
Okay.
Which would then mean that if I'm asking somebody to be a CEO, that in itself is pretty serious. But hey, CEO is just a title, and you could literally be CEO of the Tuna Can Opening Company, right? Now let's test this.
Okay.
Do you know what we are asking this never written a book of poetry person to be CEO of? I'm asking you questions.
Hold on. Who's Mr. Will Smith in Freeport?
I think that's the name of the man who does impersonate Christie.
Okay.
Right?
Will Smith?
What his name is? Pintard have 2 books, Buster Rider, and what else?
Still standing, that's right.
Send me the book. Now, here's what I say, right? Are you listening? The Bahamas is an 8.6, 8.7, what it is, Simon Wilson? $8.8 billion economy. You aware of that?
What's that?
The Bahamas is an 8.86 or $8.8 billion economy.
Okay.
Which Fortune 500 company in the world, right, would hire someone with 0 executive experience to be their CEO?
Doesn't make any sense, eh?
Especially if their company's value was $8.6 billion. Does it not sound unreasonable? If Apple told you today that they was hiring a dancer to lead Apple because of his creative mind.
That don't make no sense.
But would you look at that?
Wilbur Stubbs, is it? Well, yeah, we don't know. Yeah, but go ahead.
And that is exactly what Mr. Davis is saying. All Mr. Davis is saying is governance is about executive management. And if you want to be an executive manager, usually that follows a trajectory and you can see it in your actions. Okay, and so the man has said, well, my training is in agriculture and in what? Financial security? Well, fine. I'm happy that you've said that. Let's look at what you did in agriculture.
All right, so you're fighting Michael Pintard too. Wow.
I am not fighting Michael Pintard.
I guess Michael Pintard.
All I'm asking you to do...
Telling all y'all, pick a number and fall in line.
There is an easy way to make things like this go away. You could go by NIB, Michael Pintard, and just have them print off your NIB contributions and see how much NIB contributions have you made over the last 61 years. And see exactly who made the contribution. And then we will know exactly
So he had no job for truth.
which jobs you've had. And you could say the Prime Minister is a lying man. Here are my NIB contributions.
Oh, wow.
And here are the persons that have paid them. And as you can see, these are all people that paid me for doing credible work. These claims are very easy to refute.
So Michael Pinta never had a real job.
I'm saying to you that I don't know if I ran a Fortune 500 company with an $8.6 billion capital market that I would give it to somebody whose greatest claim to fame is that they are a popular writer.
Right, so Michael Pinta is not fit to run this country.
I'm saying to you,
I mean, I understand the analogies you're making. So that's
whether he is fit or otherwise,
but he's not.
the people in the Free National Movement, I imagine, ultimately the electorate will determine that. What I'm saying is, I don't know why everybody's saying that what the Prime Minister has said is so offensive, because it's not.
Sometimes it isn't what you say, you know.
Oh boy, how did we get like this?
It's how you say it.
Listen, please hear me.
Ronald Reagan was an actor and he became the U.S. president. This is true.
Sure.
This is true.
Sure. But
Ask him why he's fighting down Michael Pinta.
Sweet Mickey was a musician. And he became president of Haiti. Sure.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was an actor and he became what?
Governor.
Of
Sure.
California.
All I'm saying to you, though, is under the normal course and action, people that run billion-dollar industries and companies, particularly like somebody with some working experience, that ain't an unreasonable statement.
Well,
Whether he will do good or bad remains to be seen.
Yeah.
What is factual is having steady employ, having had worked in different levels of management, teaches you how to deal with people. So tell the whisperer for me, the one overarching claim that I've heard across the board in the Free National Movement is Michael Pinta doesn't know how to deal with people. And largely that could be attributed to the fact that he's just not had work experience. Let me tell you a little secret about myself. This is a secret, you all don't tell nobody. When I took up management in a certain position, right? You know what was one of the greatest struggles I had? And this is now on 2 different occasions. You know what is some of the greatest struggles I had going into public service or civilian management? I was used my whole life to managing Marines who do not ask questions. You tell them stand up, 1,000 of them will stand up. You tell them about turn, 1,000 of them will spin around. You tell them quick march, 1,000 of them will just take off marching. They won't ask you why. Why are they, what's happening? Nothing.
But it's not designed for them to do that.
My point precisely. When I came into the business world and I had employees and I had to make payroll and la da da da, I realized that I also had to justify my decisions to the people that were in my employ. And that I couldn't just populate a calendar or a schedule without talking to them and asking them silly little things like how they feel and whether they thought and does this make them feel a certain way? Because where I had come from, spiritual advisor, the Negroes there don't feel anything. All you do is get up and say left, right, left, right, left, right, left, and they left, right, left, right, left, right, and left.
So what you're doing is you're trying to convince
I'm saying that the
Bahamian
Prime
people-
Minister has nothing to apologize. I don't know what all this apologizing is about.
That's fine. He's a leader. You always lead by example. That's fine.
You need something to apologize
That's
for,
fine.
though.
He shouldn't have said some of the things he said. You don't win elections like that.
Oh, boy.
You know, you don't do it that way. That's not the way to do it.
Oh, boy.
You know?
I don't know. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, I think that these kinds of things need to be ventilated in the public space. I think that, well, Michael Pinta has also come back and said, yeah, I'm not a lawyer or a doctor, because they are the ones that get us in the situation we're in now. Because y'all tell me the doctor had the prescription. You was right there when you all tell me the country needed a doctor. You remember? Mm-hmm. All of a sudden now doctors destroy the place too.
Okay.
Come on, man.
Well, it is
As
what it
minister,
is.
as minister of Agriculture and Marine Resources and Fisheries, right? The whole country went into COVID. You were inside the cabinet, right? with your big time marine science degree, right? Or agriculture degree, whichever one it is. And yet, in a aqua nation, right? If you ask tell us better, any other country in the world got more water than us. Yet we are no more food suffice than we were pre the pandemic with somebody that has an agriculture degree. We are in no better food position at a time when people weren't consuming as much, in a time when we could have incentivized the fisheries product, in a time when we could have considered nationalizing a part of the fisheries product. The guy with the degree in agriculture and whatever marine sciences didn't figure that out, but he wants a bigger job as prime minister?
Why not?
Oh boy, I don't know. And so, Mr. Prime Minister, I agree. The internet won't win the election, but it might make you lose the election. Welcome back to Freedom March. Thank you for staying with us through the break. This spiritual advice ain't getting me sued, I can tell you that much. Producer, when we go to the break, you make sure you clip my mic wire. I can't.
And if I tarry long,
I can't.
so that you may
Spiritual
know.
advisor, I want y'all to know something. I'm poor. I was born in Engliston. My grandparents, They raised me in a Storko house. We never had no bunch of money. Please don't sue me. Sue him.
Listen, like Rodney used to say, I can talk in court.
Yeah.
There's some things that are circulating on social media,
Yeah.
and all I can say is this. The old people say, where there's smoke,
Wow.
there's fire.
You sure it wasn't the Indian them who said that?
Well, I know some old people used to say that when I was growing up. Where there's smoke,
Oh boy. This
there's
is fantastic.
fire, my brother. And I can leave that one right there.
This is fantastic. Let's get to some of these. But Mr. Prime Minister, don't listen to spiritual advisor them. I'm saying just be very cautious about how you make your utterances in the public domain, because they won't go away. They will live on forever and ever and ever. But don't be overly apologetic either, because that doesn't work very good in the public domain either. You make the decisions you make with the information you have before you, and you make the adjustment as they are necessary. Isn't that the art of good grouping? Fire, sight, adjust, and fire again. Yeah, and so, Mr. Prime Minister, I don't see any transgression there. I don't think anybody in the artistic community is just so bewildered that they're just all going to just walk away from the efforts that is being made by the Progressive Liberal Party. But the PLP is right now renovating the Dundas. I didn't even know that was something the government could do.
The place for the performing arts. Right there on Market Street somewhere? Okay, that's still around. I didn't even know that.
And they also going to go start acting school. I understand Ian Porter could be in charge of that. Poitier, I said Porter. Poitier is going to be in charge of that. And I didn't even know that was something the government could do. Like, I thought these were all things that people in private corporate Bahamas had to do.
Producer, could we adjust the audio on the radio? No?
What's happening with you?
So a lot of folks complain about audio on the radio.
Did they turn their radio up?
We're going to try our best to get it sorted out, folks. Thank you so much for all your messages.
Anyway, let's go to some birthdays.
Yeah, we got a couple birthdays. Maybe some shout outs to do. Let's see who's on top of the list. Karen Moxie? Yes, Karen Moxie. Happy birthday greetings to Karen Moxie celebrating today. Greetings coming from her daughters, Makira, Waltonique, and Andrea. 8 sisters, Brenda, Jackie, Sherry, Gayleen, Suzanne, Donna, Renee, and Debbie. Numerous nieces and nephews, cousins, and friends. And of course, the St. Margaret Street family and Executive Prentice family. So happy birthday to Karen Moxie. We have a special shout out to DJ Forsyth. Big up the 2025 Dub Overload Last Sound Standing Chapter 2 champion, DJ Forsyth, Invader Sound Systems on the win, respect, and manners. So special shout out to DJ Forsyth. Congratulations to the Hawks Flag Football Club on their mid-season championship win.
Yeah, I know them.
The BFFL, the Bahamas Flag Football League. And of course, that's the Flag Football Club.
Yeah. I want to tell you something. They got 2 twin girls on that team, right? Man, I used to call them the Barefoot Bandit and the Tiptoe Burglar. Spiritual advisor, these 2 little girls could run like hellfire. I never seen nothing like this in all my life. The NFL should come recruit them. I told them a day just run like nobody business. It's no wonder they could win. I want the commissioner of police to investigate them to see what they used to do in their former life. Because people that can run that good, I suspect them of having criminal antecedents.
He was running from the police all
I suspect them of having criminal antecedents. And so it's no wonder they were able to win the little midterm thing, because, boy, they can run. My goodness amazing.
Producer,
congratulations to the Hawks on pulling that off. And to the little twins, I can't remember your real name. I used to call them the Barefoot Bandit and the Tiptoe Burglar. Man, y'all just keep running like that. That's some magical running. Yeah. What else?
You had some photos?
I also have this is a picture of me and my good cousin Marinette Roll. She was at the you're going so fast. She was at the St. Joseph's Cathedral with us yesterday evening. And so I'm so happy to see
for Rodney.
Yeah, she's my mummy's actual cousin. Therefore, she's my decent second cousin, Marinette Roll, and I'm so happy to see her. There she is. serving in the altar, looking so wonderful. And there you see me giving her a wonderful hug. She hugged me because she said she's one of the women them, and even though she's my cousin, she wanted to indicate to me that she was a saved woman and that she was one of the women them. And so to my mommy, good cousin wearing that role, good to see her. And to Landon Moxie. Do we still have Landon Moxie's picture from yesterday? So when I left Rodney's thing yesterday, spiritual advisor, I told you I knew this boy. I had to go and attend the soiree his mommy had for him yesterday. You know, they had a big smash down. I had to go run across there, which is why I had to leave. And the sauce was really good at Rodney's thing last night.
Oh, yeah.
Whoever was responsible for cooking
nice
that sauce.
and clean and
it was
tasty.
wonderful sauce.
Yeah. It was good.
And
really
the pepper had plenty pepper in it. And so when I left there, I had to speed over to go see Little London. It's so amazing, you know, spiritual advisor. I tell you, I know when this boy mom meet his pa, right?
Okay.
But this boy's 6'2" now.
I was saying he looks rather tall.
And I don't understand when he turned 6'2" because that means I missed my one chance to body slam him.
So how old is he now?
16. 17.
Sorry, forgive me. I
Yeah.
didn't mean to do that. A yawn caught me just now. But listen, what is he doing? Is he
Track.
going to... Oh.
Track. But I mean, when I saw him yesterday, I say, God, Changits, now I can't body slam him because he probably could take me.
Yeah,
so spiritual advisor, I'm going to have to plot how I could beat him up at least once before he turned 18. That way, when he turns 18, he can say, he ain't going to fool with that because he know I don't fool around. But I might have missed my one chance to put that in before he gets 17. He's 6'2", and I had a wonderful time hanging out with him yesterday when I left Rodney Moncur's memorial. So I showed him the pictures of the memorial again. If you missed the memorial yesterday, you missed a wonderful event. Prime Minister Ingram, Prime Minister Christie, Prime Minister Davis, all in attendance. Picewell Forbes was there, Barkus Roll was there, Michael Alcides was there, Wayne Monroe was there.
Miles LaRoda
was there. The Commodore, former of the Defense Force, Dr.
Yes, Raymond King. Yes, I shook his hand.
In attendance. Who I understand, he claims that Rodney Moncur, distant or otherwise, is some sort of a mentor to him.
Yeah, from
Black Village.
Of course, yeah. Definitely.
And I listened to Mr. Ingram tell such wonderful stories about his time being Rodney's Sunday coffee partner. But most notable, I noticed that Mr. Christie was there. He's such a Christie boy, I tell you. I want to say this, though.
He's an orator.
The great orator. Mr. Christie, I really want to sign a petition. Everybody that wants to see Christie grow a gray beard, let's sign a petition, man. Now that this hair turning white finally, right? Because it takes Christie 82 years to have gray hair. I don't know how you pull it off. I don't know. Maybe it's magic, right? But now that the hair is turning gray, spiritual advisor, I say Christie should just grow a big, full gray beard to go with it. Because you know, he walks slow. Christie talks slow. And I feel like a gray beard would just galvanize that for him and make him the official statesman of the Bahamas. We could send him around the world
as he aged gracefully.
Yeah, as the official states spokesman for the Bahamas, right? And then we'd have to somehow cut out parts of the speech where he'd say on my own behalf and on behalf of the people of the Bahamas, because only the Prime Minister could say that. So we got scorched out of all his speeches because he liked to put that in there, right?
That's fine.
Yeah, but he looks well.
Yeah, of course.
His structure is so strong.
Of course.
And quite honestly, he looks the better of all of the former prime ministers, in my view.
Of course. As a matter of fact, it was a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month ago or so. Mm-hmm. Maybe a month ago. I think Perry Christie, former prime minister, and Hubert Ingram, those at the event, did go on down to Jamaica to celebrate, I think, the 90th birthday of P.J. Patterson.
P.J. Patterson.
Coming back, he stopped in an eatery. I happened to be there. When he saw me, he asked me to get Rodney on the phone because he was really concerned. He wanted to speak with Rodney. And so both he and I and Rodney had a very long, very nice conversation, I should say. I guess not knowing that, when you make these calls and you touch people, you never know, it could be the last. But him and Rodney did share a good, pretty good relationship. Richard Lightburn was there as well.
Richard Lightburn was there.
And also Adrian White was there.
Adrian White was also there.
Yeah, Adrian White was there. I shook his hand on his way in. It's amazing. As much as Rodney may have hit him, politically, he still showed up.
Shannon Carter.
Shannon Cartwright was there as much as Rodney may have hit him. Politically, he showed up. But I'm trying to figure out why Michael Pinter didn't show up.
Noticeably absent.
And then Rodney bragged so much about
how
helping
he hold
him.
Michael hand in the wilderness.
Yeah, and took
teach
him
Michael
all the
political strategy.
Yeah. Michael Pinter didn't show up.
And you know what he probably could say? He couldn't get a flight out of Freeport.
Is he here on Freeport?
I tell you what he could say. I couldn't get a flight out of Freeport.
Yeah, but Shannon Cartwright showed up, and that's what you call leadership. Unless he could be saying, "Well, I sent a representative."
Some things you can't send proxy for. Some things you just have to be to. It's too big of an event for you to miss. And Rodney's memorial is one. See, everybody will come to the state funeral, but there's no way to consider yourself a mentee of the man who has publicly said that, who Brother Jackson's come here and confirmed that, and you missing. And I also thought that Dr. Minister's absence showed political immaturity, because at some point, when you ascend to a certain level, you must let all of the enmity between you and a person die when they die. And if you recall last evening, both Prime Ministers, Ingram and Christie, talked about how Rodney gave them grief during their time as Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And Mr. Christie
But they shook that off, though. They shook it off.
But Mr. Christie even joked that when he lost the by-election in South Andros, Rodney petitioned the Queen to have him removed to be removed as leader of the opposition at the Progressive Liberal Party for having lost the PLP's most prized possession. You follow my point? So politics is about maturity.
I believe that. I honestly believe that. And
if I case you in politics today, tomorrow, we should be able to hold hands in the name of the greater good, yeah?
But that's deep. But I didn't expect Dr. Minister to be there, though.
Why not?
That's wishful thinking.
Oh, boy.
I don't think he would have showed up. But it was a fairly nice service. I mean,
it was a wonderful service.
You know,
the speeches were also not very long.
No,
right. I thought that was impressive. When they told me Christie and Ingram was on the lineup, well, Mr. Christie was on the lineup because I didn't see Mr. Ingram on the program I got. So to see him there, I always like to hear Ingram.
I think Ingram is on the program.
I don't remember seeing his name now.
He's not there?
No, I remember seeing Mr. Christie. I remember seeing Mr. Davis. And I think he also said last night that he didn't see his name on the program, but he figured they would ask him to speak, so he prepared some notes. And I said to myself, that Christie must be rubbing off on him, because for a fellow who ain't on the program, he spoke longer than Mr. Christie. You realize that?
I'm thinking maybe he did.
Yeah, he spoke longer than Mr. Christie. I say, that's usually a Christie feature.
The longest speaker was the former, the lady, what's her name again now?
Ruby Ann.
Yeah, she was the longest one.
Yeah. But of course, she is like a distant mother to Rodney, almost.
Very close,
very motherly.
Yeah, very close indeed.
Yeah, and still very much in her acumen, very much, about herself. It is always so wonderful to watch people as they go towards the twilight of their years still compose so well. It's always wonderful to watch that. Anyway, let's open the phone line. You want to talk to
Yeah, and so we're going to have to get some information Today is what? Today is
Tuesday.
So we don't know when they're going to lay Rodney out. Is he going to be laid out in the Senate?
Yes.
Okay. So it may be tomorrow.
Possibly.
We'll find out.
We'll have the information.
But the funeral, of course, is going to be on Friday at 11 a.m. at St. Francis Xavier
Is it?
Cathedral.
St. Francis?
Yeah. I'm almost saying that. Producer, where's that that notice of Rodney's funeral? I am almost certain that Rodney's funeral is going to be Friday the 23rd of May, 2025, and I think the time, producer, I'm going to have to come close to the screen because I can't see this far. I'm getting old. Those are Rodney famous words. 11 a.m. at St. Francis Roman Catholic Cathedral, Westfield Street, Nassau, Bahamas. Monsignor Alfred Culmer will be presiding at the funeral.
All right.
So
I think I've also confirmed that the name of the person is Mr. Wilbert Stubbs. That's the person, yeah.
That's the one who's impersonating Christie.
Who impersonates Mr. Christie. I wish he was listening. He could give us a call and do a little rendition for us.
All right, so we open lines?
Let's open the phone lines, because the people like to say, Mela, you don't give us enough time to talk. Well, listen, I'm giving you all 13 whole extra minutes today. So no cursing me out today, because I ain't come here for that. who we could curse out anybody today?
Now, when you call, and this message for this one particular person who I have a funny feeling is going to call, please, if you have a contribution to make, make the contribution. Please don't grill me as if I'm under some cross-examination. You have a contribution, make the contribution. Let's discuss it. You hang up and we'll talk about it.
Is my pentad clip ready? We can play the pentad clip. Let's play the pentad clip before we open up the break. Before we open up the phone line, sorry. And so you could see that pentad also throw in a little blow here and there. It's politics.
I'm not your usual politician. I'm not the lawyers that you've been used to. I'm not the doctor you've been used to. I'm trained as an agriculturalist. I studied anti-money laundering and compliance. I'm a creative. So when I see junkanoo, I say, that's me. When I see a play on the stage, I say, yeah, that's me. When I see a piece of art on the wall, I say, that's me. But the truth of the matter is, I am no less qualified than any of you that have ever ascended to this position. And the fundamental difference between me and those that lead now is that I feel the pain. I don't drive through a corner without wondering how can we help. And so I ask you as I take my seat, when you have a bad employee, what you do?
So see that FNMs? I gave you all one free ad on the People TV. You all can't say I'm active Ifitania FNM, all right? Michael Bindad say, no, I'm not a politician like the rest of them. And he's right, because he ain't much other politicians lose as much as him, right? He have to be holding a record. And then he say, I'm not your typical lawyer. And he's right. I'm not your typical doctor. And I take offense with that because Michael Pintard them tell me we needed a doctor. Remember they make whole song, Doctor, the country is sick. You remember that?
Listen, I can tell you one thing.
Oh, no, man. No.
Michael Pintard may become the next prime minister. So if I were you, I would tread lightly.
Except the Lord watched the house spiritual advisor, the watchman watched, but only in vain.
Yeah.
My hope is built on nothing less
Than Jesus' blood.
and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest,
Remember those
but
words.
holy lay
You can need
on
this,
Jesus' name.
You can need them to encourage
Christ,
yourself.
the solid rock I stand. This choice grand boy you talking to, you know. All the other ground is sinking.
Boy, you
sand.
never know, but a Red Sea may come in.
Man, I don't care where it come from. Listen to what I'm telling
The
you.
Red Sea, we're going to part the
Listen
Red
to
Sea.
what I'm telling you. Like the three Hebrew boys in the fiery furnace, O King, I shall not bow. And I know that the Lord will deliver me. But even if God doesn't, man, you making my church. Open up this phone
Welcome
line,
to Freedom March,
you're making my church God. Even if God don't deliver me, O King, I shall not bow.
You better hold that faith, my brother.
All right, let's take these phone calls.
some
Hello,
calls.
caller. Welcome to Freedom March.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hey.
Miss Joyce Cranboy,
Hey, praise the Lord.
don't let spiritual advisor push you up the pull your thing into that sermon out your
I
pocket.
believe God will deliver me, but even if God don't deliver me,
You still ain't about.
oh, praise the Lord.
That's faith.
Well,
That's
listen.
faith.
Well,
Listen to me, spiritual advisor.
Listen, sources deep within the PLP today has revealed to me that if the PLP believes that this next election could be a walk in the park, they got something.
But
coming.
listen to me. Sources, not sources. It was announced today that Mr. Ingram is coming back.
Oh, praise the Lord.
And I guarantee you, I don't wish sickness and I don't wish harm on nobody. I guarantee you, Mr. Philip Ed Brave Davis, if he comes back, will give him a stroke. Hands down. I guarantee you that.
No, you can't say that. You can't say that now, caller. You can't do that,
I don't
though.
wish sickness on nobody.
But you already did.
But Brave Davis can move too fast for him. He can't catch up with Brave.
Oh, man.
As young as Michael Pintard is, Michael Pintard can't keep up with Brave Davis.
Oh, boy.
Huh?
Yeah,
You home. And you can tell me you can't catch a ride home?
Yeah.
You might as well leave the house.
Yeah.
Either that or you're scared to go home.
What you leave home for?
No, but you're scared to go home. You have had a friend leave on. I them defend one fellas was famous for that. You had to call before they go home.
Yeah.
Honey, I coming home now. You don't need nothing from the shop, eh?
Yeah.
They only calling to let their wife know they coming home.
To get them an hour,
Someone
get them
there
a
to
late
go.
start. Get them a late start.
Yeah.
So they-
yeah. But
so they
listen
can clear
to me,
those
spiritual
in.
advisor, they told me you smoked very well last night.
Yes.
Who said that?
people.
One or two of my friends called. They keep me informed.
Oh, okay. Thank
And
you.
also, you all said something about Her Excellency, the Deputy to the Governor General, Ms. Ruby Ann Cooper Darling. Me, her, and Rodney Moncur sat at the head table along with the Speaker of the House Assembly at my last birthday party.
Okay.
Okay.
And they revealed some things in the front of me that I would keep confidential over this phone, but I would be glad to tell you in person one day.
Okay. Please do.
You know, spiritual advisor, that woman, she loved you. I could say that much.
Okay.
She always said that, Rodney, you're in good hands with Rule.
Yeah, she knows my family.
I don't know because of your daddy.
Yeah. She knows my father very well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She said she talked good about your father. So I said, must be because she know your daddy was a good man. She figured it would have fallen on you. But sometimes it don't fall on the children, you know.
Well, well, it's what it is, though.
He kind of short it might fall past him.
We thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah,
no,
man.
they said it was well. But
Yeah.
I'll be attending the funeral on Friday, so I couldn't do two.
All right, we look forward
Great.
to
Sit
seeing
that
you.
one out.
All right. Okay, thank you so much, caller. Take
Yeah,
care.
but don't feel bad. Michael been daddy ain't been either.
Oh, shit. Welcome to Freedom March, Call You Live. Are you there, caller?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey.
Go ahead, you're live.
Yes, I want to salute both of you yesterday on the professionalism of the way you all handled that unsaved lady.
Oh.
I think that lady was trying to show both of you all up, but I think the grace of God that you all have and the spiritual values. I was baffled when she said the show is not about spiritual and Christianity. That particular lady is not saved, and she needs to get saved because you cannot do anything without believing in the spiritual values that this country was
right.
once built on.
It's a part of our
And I believe
Constitution.
this is why Mr. Moncur chose his spiritual advisor to guide him spiritually as he move along the way.
Absolutely.
So I salute both of you, how you all handle her spiritually and professionally.
Thank you so much, caller.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. Welcome to Freedom March, Call You Live. Are you there, caller? Go ahead. 323-7775. Producer, is 698-0775 working? And 698-0776? Okay, they're all working, folks. I got a couple of texts just now. Welcome to Freedom March, Call You Live.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, good afternoon. God's blessings to one and all through Jesus Christ of Nazareth, the Holy Spirit enveloping us.
This
I'm only
Berenice?
calling this station Berenice Johnson, the original.
Hey, Berenice.
Convey condolences
Yes.
to one and all. I did so on 97.5 with Mr. Julian Reed, just in case people might say I did not. I am not one of the women then. However, I defended Rodney Moncur valiantly because he is a man who believes in his truth. Once somebody claims his truth, he believes that he died for it. And the declaration that he gave, how he died, is very, very disturbing, and it ought to be properly investigated. And the PLP shall hand this nation over under the leadership of present Prime Minister, ushered in by God, Philip Edward Davis.
Thank you,
Mr.
Bernice.
Lincoln Miller,
Yes.
you was a baby from NC. Now, I have no comment, but you make sure be the moral, ethical discipline.
I can recruit you to be
We
one
gotta
of the
go.
women them soon,
We gotta
Berenice.
go,
Thank
Berenice.
you very much. Anyway, you hear the jingle. Don't go anywhere. We're going to the break, and we'll be right back.
Come and visit us at Shop Smart, 'cause everything is here.
Yes, we have it all for you. Toys, clothing, office supplies, appliances, custom cut blinds, bedding, drapes, and rugs. Come and visit us on Mackey Street, 2 blocks down from Wolf Road. Call us at 698-1052.
Shop Smart, at Shop Smart, at Shop Smart. Oh, everything is here.
Second.
Welcome back to Freedom March. Thank you so much for listening to us. You're listening to me on 103.5 FM The Beat, channel 224 on cable, 1121 Flow, ILTV Studios on Facebook. That's not for the people that's already listening. Go and call your friends and tell your friends to stop listening to that other stuff and to come over here and listen to us because, I mean, we've got good content with good scripture references and reading and dissecting of God's holy word. And even when the spiritual advisor tried to tell me that the F&M trolls are going to come and get me, I tell him, my hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness.
We live in a strange country when it
I
comes to
dare
politics.
not trust.
You understand that, right? We live in a strange country when it comes to politics, and I'm a living testimony
Yeah.
of that.
The spiritual advisor, that's because your grandma ain't named Jocelyn.
Yeah.
That's Jace grandboy. You know that? True story. My grandma said my dad used to have seizures when he was 6 years, up to when he was 6 years old. She said she was at prayer meeting one night, and the boy take her to the seizure. They call her from the church up the road, and she come home and meet the boy having the seizure. And she picked my daddy up and drive him to the church and rest him on the altar and say, God, I'm born no fitzy child. So either you fix this baby or take him. My daddy never had the seizure no more for 50 years.
Go and fix it.
I choice grandboy.
Okay.
And you think
You're
Michael
lucky.
Vintage one could get me? Oh, that'll never happen. Anyway, let's take another phone call.
We forgot to mention
What
that
we forget to mention?
decent Loretta Butler Turner
Oh my God, Loretta, I want to rent my garment. Spurgeon, how you let me forget that?
Yes, decent Loretta
She
Butler
was
Turner.
so splendid, as always. I mean,
And
she
so
sat there
warm and welcoming.
and graceful.
Gave me a nice
my.
hug as she came inside.
I was actually sad that I missed her. Mine and Mr. International, you know, because he never knows where to sit
Decent
in order for us
Loretta
to be able
Butler
to be
Turner.
in airshot. But I missed an opportunity because, you know, she went out with the cavalry. And I missed an opportunity to engage her on her way out of the service yesterday. And by the time as I got to the door, they had already whisked her away. And so, yes, you're absolutely correct.
And of course, the Minister of National Security was in attendance.
Wayne
as
Monroe,
well.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's take some more phone calls. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to Freedom March.
Spiritual advisor.
Yes, ma'am. How are
Good
you?
afternoon, Mr. Miller.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Spiritual advisor, you're doing a good job. Sometimes Mr. Miller's doing a good job. But I always want him to remember that the same stone that the builders reject
Praise the Lord.
came to head cornerstone.
That's deep.
Oh, hallelujah.
Remember, you have relatives that running for the F&M in the upcoming election. Be careful.
I have a relative running for the F&M. Relative who running for the F&M? Why you ain't tell me that my relative running for the F&M?
Be careful. Just be careful.
Oh,
the same
boy.
stone
Yeah, that's a serious
that
thing.
The builders reject.
Became the
came
chief
to
cornerstone.
head cornerstone.
Yes.
So have a good evening.
Words to the wise. You said a mouthful.
Relative who running for the F&M, send me a hand signal so I can know who you is.
Welcome to Freedom March. Call you live.
Hello, Special Advisor Levan.
Hey, Pumpkin.
Look like you left to start early in your death say.
Yeah,
Woman say, be
well, Michael
careful.
Bentard say September, so I don't want to get left behind.
She say, be careful.
But I also want to say, she tell me say I got a family member running for the F&M. Well, as it stands right now, Michael Bentard even ain't running for the F&M because ain't nobody nominated.
Let me just say before I get to my 2 points. 2 terms. I say no more.
Roger that. Strength 5.
I would expand that during the time to come.
Okay.
But it's 2 terms. The spiritual advice, he would understand what I'm talking about. 2 terms.
Yeah.
Right. But my 2 quick points here. First of all, I graduate on that big investment down in Grand Bahama.
Mm-hmm.
Grand Bahama is back.
Mm-hmm.
The airport would put the icing on the cake for Grand Bahama under my Bray Davis government. And secondly, I'm wondering if the great Senator Fruin is going to be live on Island FM, Island TV.
Management is going to give us some instructions to give out shortly. And as
that
soon
should
as we
be
get
carried live, so the people in the families of violence can see it. You also got to remember, the people for the family island, the TV and radio is the air and eye.
Okay.
And I always say local programs should always be the forefront of broadcasting in the country. But in closing, Levan, I'm hearing some things about Michael and the opposition leader could not make it into Freeport. It's an embarrassment. He disappoints the people of Grand Bahama. And Grand Bahama is thinking. They're thinking because when they look at our Prime Minister and the government paying close attention and courtesy and great concern about Grand Bahama and turning Grand Bahama around. You remember the last, you remember the last Foreign Minister of Tourism? He said he was a businessman. He will bring the kind of business to the Bahamas that never before. Well, let me just say this. When it comes to business competition, I think our Minister of Tourism
Chester Cooper
had won the case.
You and your money.
And prove himself
I gave
that he is
Chester
the businessman in Exuma and the whole entire Bahamas, and including the Minister of Tourism. I am your one and only original spiritual advisor.
All right,
All right, take care.
Listen to me. If they tell me, thank you, Bumpkin. If they tell me Chester Cooper killed 6 children in the road, I think the children was insurgents. That's what I think.
Okay, so we want to congratulate the Royal Bahamas Defense Force on the 104 Youth Guard graduate and Captain Sonia Miller and Senior Lieutenant Kevin Toot in charge of the band. All right, great.
All right.
Great.
So such a wonderful band. You can't just say the band like that. You mean the Royal Bahamas Defense Force band.
Especially my granddaughter.
Absolute best band in the entire country.
Edrinate Ramen. Okay.
Let's take some more calls. Hello, caller, you're on.
Welcome
to the match. No? 323-777-5698075. Hey.
What's happening?
Hey, Papa.
All right. Good day, sir, Joe.
Yeah, what's happening, Papa? All is well?
Yeah, man. Thank God for life. I want to ask y'all if y'all did a memorial service on Facebook last night.
Yeah, it's there.
It was on the church's platform. I saw it.
Wait, how do I find it?
St. Joseph's Parish, I think it is.
On their Facebook page?
Yeah.
Or just go to YouTube and type in Rodney Memorial Service and it'll come up.
Okay, the whole thing?
Yeah, man, yeah.
Okay. Hey, give me a chance, please, quickly to send condolences. I don't know if y'all observed. I haven't sent condolences as yet.
Go ahead.
Okay. I want to send condolences to Mr. Moncur family. All his family we talk about, because he had a lot of family in the country. Almost everybody was his family, especially his wife and his children. When I first meet Rodney Moncur, I was living, same place where I live in. I had no light, no nothing. I don't know how, I can't remember exactly how I get hooked up with him. I mean, hear up with him. Was he on the radio? I reach out to him on his phone, and I call him, and he come and check on me. I don't know if that was the Smith guy with him who used to be doing jets with LeVar and them back in the days, but he came here to me, and no light on nothing, sit down comfortable. The bottom line is that, and first let me quickly say, and you know, I was in need then, and but I don't need to say how anyhow. He gave me $20, right? That didn't mean so much to me right then. That helped me so big time. That's like that's just as good as Brave Davis or anyone else assisted me in the past with big amounts, with thousands of dollars. So I did appreciate him, help him, and guess what? I didn't know nothing about him. I get to find out he's a Sagittarius just like me. He born on the day after me. He never could remember my birthday, although he brought up birthdays on the same day. I used to laugh at that. But I believe he was my friend. I just love him.
Yeah, Rodney was a true friend.
One thing I noticed about Rodney is a humble man.
Very, extremely, yeah.
A serious man, Rodney. Position. Oh, first I must say that what I realized about him, you all don't have to agree. That's just my funny feeling. And like spiritual advisor, we don't know him as good as you know him, so you might disagree. Me and him are raised almost just alike. Not 100%, but plenty things what he was, how he feel and how he used to deal with situation. I am the same way. I'm not boasting myself, but I did observe that about him long time. he's a different kind of person than me. You know, when I say different, like some of he's more positive and I may be more negative in some ways and go about it the wrong way. But I ain't old enough to appreciate to know what time it is. Like how he know it, but to play.
Right.
He was a humble. He was a humble man. He was riding these politicians, taking up for them, not lying, pointing no. We expect the main bottom line is that when he come on the station here on this TV after the election, he ain't really changed, right? But for so much foolishness what's going on in the country, I hear people talking about 2 terms and all of that stuff, right? And we wish he was really criticizing more, but the love, and guess what certain things then, he still stand for him for marital rape, the feminist movement and all that stuff. I hear Hubert Ingham now talking about the women and need to, and I don't know what he said last night to the thing. I can't wait to go check Facebook, right?
Yeah, he said he would talk to Rodney about why he was spewing in misinformation into the public about.
I can believe he said. I expect that. I can catch it. Don't finish the movie before I get to watch it.
Yeah.
I expect him to say something like that. But the point is, the bottom line is that, to me, right, a lot of people that respect Rodney. I hear some stories about him what I never hear before, where he was so humble and said, look at the kings and the queens he going around, and the man still was getting to the water pump.
Yeah.
The man still was doing certain things, living a humble life, not trying to do nothing you understand, to get what all us trying to achieve in life.
Yeah.
So I respect him. I appreciate everything about him. I can miss him. I know a lot of people can miss him, and I know the PLP can miss him the most.
Oh, definitely.
But I believe that even if he was here, he couldn't save them. Y'all keep up the good work.
I appreciate you, Papa. And I will tell you what else Mr. Ingham said that stood out to me, spiritual advisor. He said he knew Rodney to be many things.
But not a PLB.
But Rodney ain't never been no PLB. So
yeah, anyhow,
I found it as a wonderful, lighthearted moment. So that means Rodney wasn't lying to us.
Well, Rodney said he was an FNM, but he just
Paul really told him he's not an FNM.
He just voted for the PLP.
And everybody told him he's not an FNM. But Papa confirmed it last evening at the memorial service that of all the things he's known Rodney to be, the one thing he's never known Rodney to be
PLP.
Was a PLP.
He is an FNM, but he's in love with the PLP. Welcome to Freedom March, caller. You're live. You're live, caller. Go ahead. 323-7775. Welcome to Freedom March. You're live, caller.
Yes, good afternoon.
Hey.
Yeah, it looked like the election fever's in the air.
Big time.
But there's only one thing that causes people to win the election in the Bahamas. One thing is the paper. It ain't got nothing to do with who is who, but who gives the most of the paper. Bahamian people, this generation now, the last 2 generations, the last 4 generations, we've been going out 5 years in, 5 years out, because of the same paper. The young people today know nothing about the PLV. All they know is who can give them the paper. Another thing is, in the Bahamas, every time election come around, we tend to forget God. God is pushed underneath. But he said, I put up and I tear down. He is God.
Yeah, I believe that.
Have a good afternoon.
Thanks so much, caller.
Well, well, now that you mentioned that, I have to say spiritual advisor Latrey Ramming said something very interesting on Sunday as well, He said that no one person owns the PLP, and that all of us happen to only be the inheritors of the PLP. And for those of you who say that you all are bedrock PLPs, you have a fiduciary obligation to ensure that those of us that will come behind know the message of the PLP. And so the caller may be right. The young people, they don't know anything about the PLP. But it is incumbent upon PLPs, should they wish, to retain governance,
to let them know,
to continue to preach the message of the PLP. Because, like according to Latrey, the only party with whose forebearers, whose architects thought it necessary to put the words that were so directing, progressive, liberal, which should determine the way the party should act, is the Progressive Liberal Party. And so I know PLP, I'm an Ifatania FNM.
Whatever.
But, and as of late, I'm an FNA. But I implore people to take the advice of the Latrey Ram, and that was really sage advice.
Welcome to Freedom March, call you live.
You don't like when I tell people it's an FNA?
There's no such thing as FNA. You're live, caller.
Hi, good Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Good. I watched the service this morning on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful service. Spiritual advice. You did an excellent job.
Indeed.
I didn't see you, Mr.
Thank
Miller.
you.
You hiding?
I was over in the back with the Commodore.
Oh, okay.
You know, since I didn't see his aide, I thought I would keep his security detail intact.
Okay, very, very good, very good. It was really, really, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That is, I would suggest every Bahamian watch that to really appreciate the fullness of Rodney's life, what he did for this country.
Yes, yes.
And, you know, our history is so lacking when you hear a person say, as far as with young people or persons don't know or don't appreciate what the PLP's contribution was or is to this country, or the FNN for that matter. Because, you know, there is so much that was done, and I think we owe it to ourselves to find things out, to make it a point to the way they dig up gossip, and the way they would sit down for 4 hours and listen to filth, spewing about a person's character. They could make it a point to find out the realness of what happened. I heard one of the callers made a statement about how Rodney was so generous and would give them, you know, monies or whatever else, the same way Brave Davis did. The Prime Minister, you know, did, right? And I think in reference to Mr. Pintar, what was said about him not showing up or whatever issues he may have and his profession and whatever, I think the leadership and persons would, I think we want as Bahamians, we want to appreciate the person, that the person really sees us, that they see us, they feel what we feel, no matter what profession they're at, whether they're a doctor, lawyer, or just a...
Or Indian chief, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So I think that goes in, and that is going to go into how the outcome of this election is going to be. You cannot go with a script. You know, you have to have a script or whatever, but you have to be real. You have to come to these people, let them know, hey, this is what I intend to do, this is what I did, and this is what I'm going to go do going forward, continuing with the progress that has been made in this country. And I think that is the only way, until and unless persons actually feel these things, which Rodney Moncur did, because he was an FNM. FNM to the bone, and that church should have been filled with FNMs yesterday. But you know what? He was an FNM who happened to vote PLP in the last election. So it shows that he felt Mr. Davis and his team's commitment and genuineness for him to go in that booth and vote PLP. And like I say, that is something that persons need to study and, you know, take with them going forward. But you all have a safe evening, okay?
Yes, thank you so much, caller. Take care. Welcome to Freedom March, caller. You're live.
I'd like to share a little story about Rodney,
Yes, ma'am.
a.k.a.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I would like to share a little story about Rodney, a.k.a. Sam Cox of Black Village. Rodney, first of all, was married to his uncle, his favorite uncle. He spoke of him sometimes and was very vocal when his uncle died during the COVID period.
Okay.
And as young people, recently married, we were teenagers. His grandmother, who he was living with, Evelyn Clark Cox, of the Forest Exoma, she was a woman that went into her farm every day, right up to her 90s. Evelyn Cox admits she was a farmer, and she farmed her land, acreage in Carmichael Road. And she just said, you know, I want to give more time to this boy, but I have to be in the farm, blah, blah, blah. Rodney was young. So
my then husband said, look, let's take Rodney. So we took Rodney home to us. We live in Angleton, East Street South, not far from Cox Food Store, Mr. Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And we were there with Rodney. Rodney was there for a couple of days, 3-4 days. Till 2 a.m. in the morning, we heard truckers outside. It was Rodney's mother, Sister Cox. Everybody, sister. Her name was very hard to pronounce.
Mm-hmm.
And she made so much noise and ruckus out there at 2 a.m. in the morning. We had to give up Rodney. If we didn't give up Rodney, I think she would have carried out her threat that she would burn down our house.
Wow.
Wow.
So when you see Rodney with the type of mind that he had, he inherited a lot of it. And I'll say this. His grandmother, like I said, who he grew up with, was a UBP, to the core. And Rodney grew up with that, so it was no surprise to him to be an FNM, although others in the family might have been of a different view. His uncle, who was a stalwart counselor, but he remained close to him. So Rodney could play the part of whatever he felt like he wanted to do. But I am very happy that he had the type of turnout that he did at his but more importantly than more was the quality of people that attended that memorial
Yes, ma'am.
and spoke so highly of him. I felt very much happy about that, and I just know that he would have been thrilled to have 3 prime ministers, the ministers that of him so highly.
Indeed.
I just wanted to remember him in a good light and speak of him as you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Take your call.
323-7775, 698-0775 or 6. It would have actually been pretty interesting to hear Rodney commentate about his own memorial, about who was there and what was said, and it would have been quite comical to hear, you know, his thoughts on his own memorial. And this is how you know he's not playing dead. Let's take the phone call.
Welcome to Freedom March Call. You're live. Call, are you there?
No, let's take another one.
Welcome to Freedom March Call. You're live.
Spiritual Elijah, how are you?
Doing well, sir.
All right, Mr. Miller, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, man, I just wanted to say you guys are doing a good job, allowing persons to call in and share with the remembrance of Mr. Rodney Moncur. I listen to the show almost daily. And Mr. Moncur always shared insight, and he educated persons as to what was going on, and he was able to bring layman's terms.
Yes.
But something interesting ran across my mind with the contribution he made to this country. I don't know if this is far-fetched, but we need to do something, or I suggest something be done on a larger scale, where there's even naming a street behind him,
That's deep, yeah. I thought
a
about that.
community, something just to remember him, you know what I mean? Because all we'll have now is the memories of Mr. Moncur. So you'll be able to pass down and just have something interesting to talk about in the years to come. But just thought I should share that and put it out there for the public.
Yes, that's interesting.
And someone to consider that,
Yes.
But you gentlemen have a good day.
Yes, thank you so much.
We got time for one more. 323-7775, 698-0775. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to Freedom March.
Hello, good day.
Hi.
Yes, I want to say that Rodney was a senator of the people. He gave people a platform to speak through him who might have not had a platform to speak. He allowed them to speak through him. Rodney was a person who was an activist. I think that much persons in the Bahamas would have learned from Rodney with his activism, him being in the unions. I think a lot of them in the unions might have not given him the credit but I think many persons looked up to him, and especially for his bravery. Rodney spoke when nobody spoke.
Yeah.
Rodney said things when nobody had the guts to speak.
Yes.
So that's how I remember Rodney Moncur.
Appreciate it.
God bless his soul.
Yes. All right. Take it, caller.
And so, spiritual advisor, I mean, I thought more people would have attended. Yeah. I was pretty impressed with the list of attendees, though. And
but that's a tradition, though. When you look at memorials, they are not as well attended as funerals. For some strange reason, I don't know why, but that's what I've been experiencing over the last few years. Yeah. But we'll see what happens.
So Friday we'll be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Friday we'll be there when we pay our final respect to the life and the legacy of the late, great Rodney Moncur. Until then, though, please show up here every day for us on Freedom March right on 103.5 FM, The Beat. We'll see you again tomorrow.
If it's the Lord's will.